So you'll notice that I posted on the forum the first exercise, which is a morning clearing and empowering exercise, is what I call it, or a morning cleansing. I think I call it a cleansing and empowering exercise. And it's basically just the concept of starting every single day with clearing your auric field and your energy field, getting in touch with what you're feeling, what's yours and what's not yours, and then transmuting that energy. And this is something that's so basic that every empath should do on a daily basis. I don't do it on a daily basis, but whenever I do and I consciously do this, I have a much better day. So this is something that I'm actually wanting to practice more as well. When I have done it, it's worked wondrous for me. So my challenge to all of us is that we do this morning cleansing and empowering every single morning of this 2 weeks for this class, and then report back to each other about how it's going. So I just really quickly want to talk about how energy works. I know most of you know this, it's pretty basic, but just so we're on the same page, I want to talk about how energy works and why we clear and why we transmute it. So first of all, as we know, everything in this universe is made up of energy. Everything. And ironically, energy is the one thing that cannot be destroyed, the one thing that we know of anyway. It can't be destroyed. It never is destroyed. It only changes forms. So transmuting energy is changing its form. Now, everything, the clothing I'm wearing, the bed that I'm sitting on, the wall behind me, everything is energy, and it's all emitting a vibration, a certain frequency. So the fabric of this whole universe is vibration. You could essentially say that everything is ultimately a vibration. And we know that in this universe anyway, that like attracts like. So it is actually impossible to physically share a space with a frequency that does not match your frequency. So let's say it's like listening to, 105 p.m. and trying to pick up on what's going on 106 point whatever a.m. You're on a different frequency. You will not pick up what's on a frequency that you're not tuned into. So this is the absolute basics of understanding energy. When you're an empath, however, I think we have really sensitive adapters. I know. So we are picking up on multiple frequencies at all times. However, that also means that we within us are emitting those frequencies. It's absolutely impossible for us to pick it up unless we're vibrationally tuning into it on some level. So what empaths can do so amazingly and brilliantly is tune in to any vibration that we want, any frequency that we want. And we're so good at this that we do it entirely unconsciously. We don't realize we're doing it. So often what happens in our lives before we become aware of what's going on and learn how to control it and how to focus it and direct it in the way that we want it to go, is we just pick up a ton of information all the time and we don't know what to do with it, we don't know where it's coming from, we don't know why it's coming, and we tend to get really overwhelmed. Often we can get really sick, especially those of us who are extremely clairsentient. I think there's some of you in the class who are more clairsentient than I am. When I pick up on people's energy, it's usually just emotionally a feeling. Occasionally it's a physical feeling, but some of you are extremely physical, extremely clairsentient, meaning if someone walks in the room and has a headache, you will have a headache. Or it doesn't necessarily, you can change that, but that's typically what happens for you. So this is why it's important for empaths in general to clear their auric field every day and intentionally set intentions for the day and empower yourself to transmute energy. So that's the exercise that I put up is to do this. And I just want to go over it really quickly, and then I'll also quickly talk a little bit more about how to, well actually I'm going to do another video about how to intentionally change and focus your energy to where you want it to go. But so this morning exercise that I have is, I uploaded it for you, just an example of what I had written down. But what I do, again, I haven't been doing it every single morning, but this is an exercise that when I do it, my days go by so much better, is the first thing I do when I wake up, you ask, first of all, I just recommend taking deep breaths. And imagining a white light just coming around you and sort of clearing out everything in your auric field, in your electromagnetic field. Just envision it clearing it out. One technique I heard from Doreen Virtue, which I've used before, is imagining your angels that are around you coming and like having almost a vacuum that vacuums out your whole auric field and just cleanses it. But really it's about the intention, because what you focus on, that's what you'll create. So if you're imagining yourself as having a clear auric field, that's what you'll raise your vibration to that. So that what can happen, the only thing that can happen is for you to actually have a clear auric field, if that makes sense. So it doesn't really matter what sort of visual technique you want to use. The point is to raise your vibration to match that. So that's the first thing to do. And then I just like to get a pen and paper, or just if you don't want to write, just ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What emotions am I feeling? And the example that I used in the document that I uploaded was, let's say you wake up, you feel anxious, nauseated, and excited. And we all know that you can feel sort of conflicting emotions all at once. So you write all three of those down, and then you ask yourself, are these emotions mine or are they someone else's? And go through each one. So I put, for example, anxiousness. You ask yourself, and one of you asked in the class, like, how do you know whether it's yours or not? I really truly believe that your intuition always knows. So ask yourself, is it mine? Now, on this note, I also want to say, we know the sort of paradox of this universe is that we're actually all one. So, and as I said before, if you're picking it up, then on some level you have emitted that frequency. So it doesn't necessarily matter whether it's yours or not, but why I suggest that you ask is because sometimes there is stuff going on in your life that directly is related to something that you need to deal with that is important. And other times you've picked up a frequency of somebody because it's in your subconscious somewhere of maybe something you haven't dealt with. And so it's still their issue, but it's coming up for you because when you clear it, you also heal yourself and you raise your vibration in relation to that emotion that you're picking up from somebody else, if that makes sense. So that's why I recommend that you ask. Don't worry so much though about if you're right or wrong about whose it is, because ultimately we're all one and ultimately we're all connected and we're all entangled. So quantumly, there really is no separation between any of us. And if we could see with our physical eyes what's going on in the quantum world around us, we would see that there's actually no space between me and you. There's no empty space. It's all vibration, and there's all this entanglement going on. So hence also why you're picking up on so many things. Empaths have these antennas up that are super sensitive, and you're picking up on so many people's energy that you're entangled with quantumly. So it's really interesting when you think about the science behind it. You're not crazy. We are actually quantumly entangled with everyone around us, and some people are more sensitive to that than others. So ask yourself, where does it come from? Your intuition will know. I feel like your first instinct that you have, like say that your instinct comes up and you just know it's not mine. Usually when it's yours, you feel sort of an attachment to it or an emotion in relation to it. But when it's not yours, sometimes you ask yourself and you're just like, no, you'll find you don't have an attachment to it. So then write down next to it. So on the example I have anxiousness, mine, the nausea feeling, not mine, excitement, mine. And then I purposely choose to have affirmations, and these affirmations are what clear and transmute the energy. Again, this is just one technique to use. So in this particular example, I recommend taking deep breaths because that breaths are cleansing to the body, and they cleanse your energy and raise your vibration. So these are all things, the reason why you're doing any of these things is to help raise your vibration so you're no longer a match to whatever that emotion you're picking up is. So deep breaths are important, and then purposely change the energy of the emotion to something else. Or for example, before I go into the second thing I'll say, so for example, the first one was anxiousness. I created the sentence, I am so grateful and thankful for the power of my emotions. And always thank your emotions, because in this third dimension, the language is emotion. We speak, that is the language of the universe. Emotions emit the highest frequency. So it's people's emotions that drive them to do anything. It drives you to make any decision. Your emotions are what make up your whole life, your whole thoughts, and everything that you think and do and feel. They're all related to your emotions. So the fact that you are emotionally sensitive is a huge blessing, because again, you'll realize when you start learning to I don't want to say control this, but thrive with this, that it's almost like having a superpower, because you speak the language of the universe. You speak the vibrational language of the universe, and when you start learning how to focus and raise your vibration and bring into the energy grids of what you want, and that to be what you experience in your physical body and in your life, you can do that quite easily. So always thank your emotions. Don't feel, it's so easy to get down and feel like, oh, I wish I weren't so emotional. It'd be so much easier if I weren't. But remember, it is a huge blessing. So thank your emotion first. So I'm so grateful and thankful for the power of my emotions. With these emotions, I know I can access extreme powers for manifesting, creating, and healing. So I always start out that way, period. And then I take the emotion, I take my feeling of anxiousness and transmute it into peace. So you take the opposite vibration. What's the opposite vibration of anxiousness? For me, it's peace. I think for most people, when you're feeling anxious, the opposite of that would be feeling peace. So then you just take a deep cleansing breath and imagine what peace feels like. Try to remember a memory or a moment where you felt peace in your life. And let it encapsulate your whole body, your whole auric field. And stay with it and milk it as long as you can. Milk that feeling of peace. And then thank the universe for moving the energy of, or for transmuting the energy of anxiousness to the energy of peace. And then I go all along and do it with the other two emotions. So for the nausea, let's say I realize it's not mine, it's someone else's. And so the statement I said for that is, I acknowledge the nausea in my body and thank it for making me aware of the nausea of another. I release the feeling and send healing to the person whose body sent me this message. I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve through my body, and I now purify this energy with love and healing. And then one of the things that I do when I experience emotions that I know aren't mine is I imagine the energy transforming into a dove and then sending that dove to the person as a blessing. Again, it's all about a vibration, so it doesn't really matter what you imagine. That's not what's important. What's important is how it feels. To me, a dove feels peaceful. It feels loving. It feels like it's healing. And so I send that. And I imagine the dove going to the person. And again, as I send that to the person, I'm also cleansing and healing the vibration in me that attracted that nausea to me. And then moving on to the third emotion that I had put down, which was excitement. I'm so grateful for the feeling of excitement within me. I choose to ride this wave of energy into the abundance and joy waiting for me this day. Excitement, joy, love, really high vibrations. So if you feel excitement, just be thankful for, or any of those emotions that are loving, and try to allow yourself to really feel into that. Again, you're a feeler. That's your superpower. So what does it feel like to have excitement, joy, love? Step into that for the day. Allow that to be the vibration you emit for the day, and you will find that you'll attract more of that into your experience for the day, because like attracts like. So that's the basics of this exercise. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you soon.